So this is your creepy Uncle Lester here. Today I'm going to tell you a story of I guess the first car accident I've ever gotten into. This was something that kind of happened back in 2024 to start the year there for me. And of course, first I want to preface it by kind of painting a picture of who I was at the time when this happened. Basically, I was kind of just a perpetual bum living in like my parents' house, just working kind of like your bare minimum type of hours that is needed to pay rent. Now, it wasn't much. I think it was like $400 I was paying them rent a month there. But then I'd just come home all day and just do my hobby, which was playing video games or just consuming media in general. TikTok, movies, like character analysis, that type of stuff. Just analyzing any type of media. It kind of was just a hobby. But yeah, I ended up doing that more than I was working. I think I was working only like 30 hours, 40 hours a week at most. Less than 40, actually. But at the time, I was kind of working at like overnight security. Working, like I said, I wasn't really working much. It was only like 4 days a week, probably. It was like a 10 p.m. shift to 6 in the morning, 4 days. So, like I said, not the longest hours, but it was actually a pretty good job. One of the best jobs I have worked. But I'm gonna circle back on that. That's a topic for a different day there for you. But at the time, I was kind of just sitting on top of the world. I had myself a sick Mustang. Just graduated high school. I was banging some foreign Brazilian chick that was low key out of my league. I mean, like a couple months before this actually happened, we did end up breaking up. So a little bit of a fresher bruise. And yeah, like before you ask, we were rocking with each other, but it was just like a distance thing. It did end up moving, and the drive was getting a little bit crazy there. But that's kind of besides the point there. After graduating, like I ended up graduating year of 2022. And I was kind of just kicking it by myself. I really isolated myself because we moved out from my town I graduated from, and we were moving out to like the country, like 45 minutes in the country. Nobody was finna drive out there. I wasn't finna drive all the way in there. So like I was just kind of isolating myself for a few months. We moved in about August time. This story actually is going to take place in January. But a little bit of time, a few months of there does pass by where it's me just getting complacent and comfortable in that lifestyle of just working overnight security and just, relaxing, basically. But yeah, that overnight security job, it was actually one of the best jobs I have ever worked, especially for, at the time, me being a lazy person. That you couldn't get any better than that, honestly. Nobody ever comes in when you think of like an overnight shift, and I was mostly guarding apartment complexes, so it was even more so like nobody. Like I was just walking around hallways or sitting in the office or hitting the apartment complex like gym that they had or something, or I'd just be like doom scrolling, literally doing nothing all shift long, just doing stuff I could do at home, just getting paid for it. Like I'd be doom scrolling on TikTok or like binge watching some TV show like The Sopranos or something like that. But I got complacent on that, did that for a few months, really started to enjoy that there. But in February, I actually suspected that they were going to take my security contract at that building because the apartment complex I was working out was not in the best town. I low-key did have to put my head on a swivel if like somebody came in. I do have a few stories of that as well. But yeah, they did run out of money eventually to stop paying me, and then eventually at a certain point we ran out of contracts with companies that were in our locale area. Like I say I was working hard, but at the same time, like I'd go into work, like I'd go into work with a few joints, and I'd literally just at like 1 o'clock in the morning, 2 o'clock in the morning, go to like the roof or something, just like chilling, watching I don't know, like doom scrolling TikTok. I think at the time there was a bunch of like Andrew Tate rambling about like Hustlers University trying to get you to buy his course, or you'd be scrolling seeing some like Family Guy Subway Surfers TikTok. You guys remember that, like the Family Guy Subway Surfers, kind of like that stuff on TikTok? It just randomly disappeared one day. Like I feel like I'm the only one that noticed that. Same thing with kind of like the presidents playing like Minecraft or like Ark Survival or video games in general. But incidentally, going back to this, like one of the nights I happened to not like bring one of my joints there to work. It was really icy out, and especially down here in Texas, they don't really prepare too hard for that type of stuff. And of course, me knowing, I drive a Mustang, I probably, like thinking back now, I probably could assume something like this was going to happen. But yeah, it is what it is. I finished one of my shifts after like working. I think it was like 6 a.m. Start driving home. Of course, this is winter, so it's still dark at that time. I was really kind of tired. I mean, I'm still alert at this point, but I am a little bit shaky, I'll say. But I do live in the country, as I said earlier, so like it is a bit of a drive, like an hour drive to get back to the house, especially in the city of Austin. Like I have to go like way out of the city of Austin when I was living at my parents' house. But I was kind of like just starting my expedition down, just going on one of those down ramps on the freeway. And of course it was a bit slippery with the car being a Mustang, and the roads not being salted properly with it being Texas and such. At this point, of course, I've had my Mustang for, I'd say, the better part of 2 years at this point, almost. And, I've been in, like, rain situations and, like, all that type of stuff where I'm, like, I have to whip that thing low-key. So I get in that same spot where I'm, like, low-key losing control. So I start whipping that thing back and forth like a G. But I actually feel like I get, like, a certain level of control at a certain point. But before I get full control, there's somebody like right behind me, and they don't have the same level of control of their vehicle. And they bumped into me, hit me in the back, and had me turned sideways. So by the time we actually finish, I guess, moving our cars after the crash, I'm perpendicular with the wall at this point on the down ramp. So I'm cooked if somebody comes down. I'm basically cooked if I see some headlights. And then she actually slides a little bit past me. She started out behind me. She hit me from the back, but she hit me from behind. But she hit me, and then she slid a little bit past me. And at that point, when she did slide past me, we'll connect back to this part. But back to my perspective, once I do get hit, I'm like, oh man, I just got in a car crash. I'm cooked. Like, ripped to the Mustang. This is cooked. And, of course, my phone, because I keep my phone on my lap when I drive for, I don't know why, because low-key, hey, who doesn't text and drive here or there? Hey, everybody does a little bit of wrong every now and again. But had it on my lap, but it kind of flown across all the way. It actually went into the passenger side on the floor there. Just, like, smacked on the floor on the passenger side. So I'm like, man, I can't get this. I got my seatbelt on. So at this point, I actually take my seatbelt off. I go and grab that off the floor. And as I'm coming back up to my chair, I look up, and I look to my right, and I see it. I see some headlights coming down that mug, and they ain't coming down like some granny. They coming down at 60 an hour. And I'm like, oh man, this is cooked. So I quickly, like really quickly, in like the matter of half a millisecond, I tuck my phone under my nuts, grab my steering wheel hard, and make that like cooked face, like that picture, like the dog in the sun there. But the car got hit so hard that I actually got smacked back into an upright position. Like I'm facing the right way again. But now at this point, like I'm smacked like a mug. I'm a little woozy. I grab my phone, put that in my pocket, and then I try to get out the car, but problem is the door is cooked. Door is cooked at this point. I couldn't even open it, so I ended up having to like climb out that John. And like this part I low-key still see in slow motion. Still climbing out the car and looking across the highway, still seeing like the police lights making their way over. But that's when I look to the left, and then I see a dude coming up, kind of checking on me in slow motion, all like, "Hey, you okay?" And I'm like, "Oh, man." Second, he's like, "Hey, you okay?" My social battery fucking jump starts me, does all the work for me. I'm like, "Yeah, I'm cool, dude." And we kind of chatted up for like 30 seconds, like, "Hey, we all right?" type deal. You cool? But as we get behind my car, to get my license plate, kind of exchange that, I look back, and there's 10 cars at this point in the pileup. This is a giant car crash. Like, this is bigger than just me and this one lady at this point. And that dude was actually the third car. But at this point, I'm literally like, oh, shit. And when we get to the back to exchange the plates, we realized that the car that was squished next to me, like the car right next to me, was the lady's car that actually did hit me. And all the windows were broken. And she was already on the phone with the police. And then they were actually like, "Hey, can you hear us? Like, are you responsive over there?" And I look over there, I'm like, "Man, her windows are all cooked." I'm hearing like the cops like ask like, "What's going on?" And we look down. She's pinned in between our car. She's literally being crushed in between her car by like thousands of pounds, literally. And all the other cars also piling in, making a little bit of extra pressure and movement, like just creating extra force. Like, she was wedged in, I'm not going to lie. Like, I literally tried to pull her out. I remember grabbing her hand, trying to like pull her out. But, at a certain point, I don't even got to like explain much further. Like, you could already tell, like, when you know. But, yeah, we couldn't do that. We couldn't even pull her out. Like, she was literally pinned in between my passenger's front right tire and, like, the taillight of her car. She was pinned in between those. Like, it was cooked. But at that point, we kind of, like, retreat, like, holy shit, dude. And the police, like, they do catch up to us. The firefighters, they pull up on us. But they're at the top of the down ramp. And they literally have to shuffle their way down because it's literally icy to where we had to shuffle and like slowly like penguin our way up the hill. Otherwise, we were literally gonna like if we walked normally, we would have slid all the way back down the hill. It was that slippery. But once we did get to the top, they told her she was deceased, or they told us that she was unfortunately deceased, of course. But I just went to, like, the gas station next door and just waited for my parents to pick me up. But, and it's just a crazy story, like, when you think about it. She was, like, an older lady, of course. Eventually, the insurance companies, they found her, that initial point of contact was her hitting my vehicle. So, I mean, unfortunately, everything was put on the dead woman. So, I mean, I guess that kind of had me feeling some type of way a little bit. Like, I not only gotten her killed, but gotten away with it. But at the end of the day, she should have stood in her car at the end of the day, which means, it wasn't really my fault. But, you could definitely still feel some type of, like, empathy, of course, for, like, the family and that sort of stuff. But, I relate to this story day to day in my life, just because you can really reflect on how quickly life is really able to be taken away from you at the snap of a finger. I mean, one minute you're literally off to work, and the next that's the end of your story. You're on your way back from work, and that's the end of your story either. But you never could really take life for granted, especially living on that farmland after the fact. Like, I was kind of just sitting in like peace and silence. Really did help me come to terms with everything. Like, I wasn't tripping or nothing, but, you still definitely learn, like, life lessons off of instances like that. Like I said, my first lesson of that was kind of just not take life for granted. Stop and, like, smell the roses once in a while, because, like, you never know when is your last day going to pop up on you. But another lesson I did learn is just kind of, even when you feel like you're at the top of the world, you always got to keep your head on the swivel, because at the end of the day, you'll end up taking your hits on the chin. And, like, if you're not ready for it, they're going to hit you hard, And that was something that I had to go through with security in general. But I guess one last lesson was just take more life seriously, I do stop and enjoy stuff, but I'm more like urgent with what I need to do. I'm an entrepreneur. I run a team of people. I do provide them kind of like a service. So, like, I'm working hard. I move with urgency. Otherwise, if you don't move with urgency, you'll literally stay where you are for the rest of your life. Like that lady at some point was a regular suburban middle-aged mom who, wanted more for herself and dreamed for more, but she never achieved it because she didn't move with urgency. And, that's just a thing that never was possible for her. I don't want to make the same mistake, which is, I guess why I carry myself with passion when it comes to work. But, I do, of course, still stop, enjoy the roses because, like I said, you never know when it is your last breath. But I hope you guys enjoyed my first yap session here. I've been planning on kind of doing something like this for a while. But like I said, I've been in business. I run like a team of people in business. I'm very, very busy at this point. But, I thought, at a certain point, I just never had the time. So I just say, screw it. Just do it when I have the chance to and when I can versus just trying to do it consistent. Because at that point, I mean, it'd just be like a job, right? Might as well pour into my yap with my all, I guess. I don't even know I'm yapping off that, but yeah, I appreciate you guys for watching. Of course, comment, like, subscribe, and kind of leave a comment if you guys like 2 cents. Maybe you learned something off of this. But outside of that, this is your creepy Uncle Lester signing out.